We have non-human biologics from crash sites. That's not science fiction, it's U.S. congressional testimony. From secret whistleblowers to bizarre craft physics, we're breaking down Joe Rogan's most mind-melting UFO episodes, including a moment that had Neil deGrasse Tyson speechless. If alien tech landed tomorrow, who'd you trust to explain it? Bob Lazar, the Pentagon, or Joe Rogan with a joint and a chalkboard? Think it over, and let's dive in.
You imagine you're hanging out with Trump, and he's like, "You want to see the UFO? Can you keep a secret?" Yeah, there he is, hanging out with Nixon. And they supposedly do have something that crashed, and they supposedly do have biological entities that are on ice somewhere. This is according to these whistleblowers that work for the government, and now we're talking about it. I just don't know what's real. It's hard to know.
There's got to be something out there. Okay, we got to assume there's something out there. Whether or not, I don't even know.
Right, but should we assume that something's been here?
Yeah.
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 I think so.
Yeah.
But when whistleblowers show up on the record, his skepticism turns surgical. His stance? If it's real, it holds up under pressure. Grush, Lazar, Corbell, they all return fire when challenged. Something real is flying in our skies. When the fringe gets consistent receipts, it's not fringe anymore. It's evidence in disguise.
We're talking about Martians and aliens, right? Since I'm fucking 6, 7, I've been hearing about this. The moon landing was in '69, so I was 6. So it started after that. Like, I heard more and more about it. So what you mean to tell me is in 55 years we haven't found out more information about it? We know. We know what's going on. We know. NASA's not stupid. They know something's out there. They play with us a little bit from time to time. But there's something out there, my friend.
I think so, too.
There's something out there.
I think the other problem with the president knowing, can they keep things from the president? Of course they can. The president is only there for 4 years. And then he has to get in there again. And if he wins, he's only there for 4 more years. These fucking people have 30-year careers, 50-year careers in the intelligence agencies.
They know.
If they know something, and they've known something since...
Don't just look to the skies. History may be hiding alien footprints beneath our feet. Speaking out isn't free. It's career suicide. It's government scrutiny. It's waking up one day to find your home raided, like Bob Lazar's lab was.
Because that's one of the big theories, that they have bases in the ocean. Because the reality of the ocean is no one's looking. If you have something on Earth, satellites can see it. Like if you have something that's in the middle of Nevada, in some deserted area, and you have buildings, satellites can see that. They can see the structures. So you have to hide them. But if you have something in the ocean, nobody sees anything. We've only explored, what is the percentage of the ocean floor that we have explored? I think it's like 10%. I think it's somewhere around 10, maybe 20%.
David Grush hinted at retaliation. Other insiders have gone silent, vanished, or been discredited, so why go public? For some, the answer's simple. They've seen too much. When a whistleblower walks into the fire instead of away from it, they're either nuts or telling the truth.
Millions of light years away, and you can come here instantaneously, and you have the ability to traverse in these what they call transmedium craft, which means they can go through air, go through water. It creates a gravity bubble around it and go through everything. That's what they think these things are doing. That's what they can go 500 knots underwater, just like nothing we have could do that. And if they have bases under the ocean, it makes sense that these sightings are all near the ocean. It just totally makes sense. What if they get down there and they find bases? What is all that stuff? What are those lines?
I'm guessing that's where they probably sent their drones. Probably.
Whoa!
Looks like a pool scrubber.
Whoa! That's crazy.
Holy shit.
So they're scouring the ocean floor to try to get them out. That's why the aliens are going to come out. Wow, that's Hawaii. Whoa!
Oh, that's not Hawaii. Hawaii's over here.
It is?
Yeah.
What's that? What are those
like
islands in the middle? Is that Catalina?
And shit, yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, you were zoomed in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to see what this stuff is.
Oh, I see.
I think these little light-colored brown spots are what's sticking up, and the rest of it's underneath.
Bob Lazar never cashed in. No book tour, no brand deals, just decades of stress, surveillance, and character assassination. He claims the government erased parts of his education and work history. And years later, journalists confirmed some records had mysteriously vanished. He's not selling a fantasy, he's stuck in it. Liars fold. He doubled down. The longer he stays consistent and persecuted, the harder it is to dismiss him. Getting chills yet? Smash that like button if you think the truth's been hidden, and drop your favorite UFO theory in the comments. We might feature yours in the next episode. Governments rarely admit to what they can't control. UAPs challenge national security, global stability, and even religious belief systems. That's not just uncomfortable. It's radioactive. So they downplay, deflect, delay. But pilots keep speaking out. Footage keeps leaking. Testimony keeps building. The silence is starting to scream. Denial worked in the 1950s, but today's internet-savvy public, much harder to gaslight.
Stuff that you read that you don't know is true. I mean, if the stuff was true about the propulsion stuff, I mean, anyway,
Well, what have you read? What
you saw too. I mean, you know.
What are you talking about? Spill the beans, Bob.
I got to poke the bear here a little bit.
Get some more liquor in you.
Well, I mean, the only thing I could verify was what I had my hands on. There was talk of weapon systems, that there were different projects. Project Galileo, Project Sidekick was supposed to be weapon applications of the craft. Project Looking Glass had to do with time, any effects of time in the craft. Now, I don't think we're not talking about making a time machine like in science fiction, but we're talking about, small distortions, intentional distortions of time, and how that can be used.
Joe once floated a theory that's part sci-fi, part existential crisis. What if we're just part of an alien observation deck? Not abducted, not invaded, just watched, like animals behind glass, no interference, just data. Think about it. Advanced life might study us the way we tag whales. What if we're the exhibit? If they're real, and careful, then contact isn't chaos. It's containment.
Gravity affects time, space-time, I'm sure you've heard of that. And, what Commander Fravor saw as he was in the F-18 approaching it, he said he described it as a ping pong ball in a cup and shaking it back and forth. It was moving that fast. Now, obviously, if there's anything inside there, it's going to be battered to hell. But, my point was that, one of two things. Either there's a gravitational envelope in there which negates any inertia effects, or you are seeing through a gravity distortion field. So, just like you're looking at a hot highway and you see,
Looks like
an
water.
optical distortion going through there. Well, the same thing happens in gravity, and the craft may not actually be moving like that. It may just look like it because you can only see it through the field. So it may be making much more gentle moves. I'm not saying that's it, but it has to be one of the two.
In 2020, something historic happened, and most people missed it. The Department of Defense publicly admitted it. Yes, UAPs exist. No, they're not ours. They released verified Navy footage, declassified sightings, and launched an official task force. The spin? They don't know what they are, which is not comforting. That's not nothing. That's acknowledgement. For decades, they said, nothing to see. Now they say, we're still looking. That's a shift.
It is, though, that the craft moved to his next location before he knew where his next location was going to be.
Jesus.
And that's well documented. So that's a pretty shocking piece of information.
What's fascinating to me too is that you were discussing this, the way this reactor worked, and that these things were not really connected.
No, nothing is connected. There's no wiring at all.
That freaks me the fuck out.
Charge your iPhone,
Yeah.
like
Well, wireless.
on the little, yeah.
Joe's never claimed to have answers, but he's relentless about the questions. He gives wild ideas a platform not because he believes them all, but because curiosity is the only real compass when facts are classified. Stay skeptical, but don't be dismissive, he says. And honestly, that's the sweet spot between science and speculation.
Like when anybody could just pull electricity out of the sky.
Can't meter it.
Yeah, they couldn't
We had
meter
this
it.
talk on the car ride over. I'm trying to chill him out. We're talking about Tesla and how he couldn't be metered and how it all went down. So it's funny you bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what would have happened in terms of innovation had he been allowed to go forward with that?
Well, we probably wouldn't have computers.
You think?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive.
Why is that?
Forget about microelectronics. Well, this is dumping huge amounts of electromagnetic energy in the air. And yeah, we'd be able to wirelessly turn on our lights, but there'd be no radio communication. The interference would be something would be overwhelming. It would induce electric currents in anything with a small wire on it. So integrated circuits, transistors would be disintegrated before they were even, tested for operation. So it would
Maybe
destroy.
it would have fucked us up.
Yeah, it would have stopped us dead. It'd be great. You can turn lighters on and heaters from all over the place with no wires, but it would stop modern electronics.
And if we became dependent on it, it would almost be like our dependence on fossil fuels. Although it's destructive, it's very difficult for us to get off the nipple.
It would have changed the course of how we developed, which is so interesting when you talk about if a civilization, other star system didn't even start with fossil fuels. They had 115 naturally on their planet, and they're like, cool, anti-gravity is pretty awesome.
Well, the fact that they didn't
I think it's
have
important that actually happened.
Yeah.
It might have been stopped in its tracks for a reason.
The truth starts where certainty stops. Whether it's aliens, psyops, or future tech, stay curious. That's where discovery begins. Whistleblowers, reverse-engineered craft, physics-defying maneuvers. These stories aren't fringe anymore, they're patterns. Joe Rogan's UFO episodes have become a cultural truth serum. Uncomfortable, unfiltered, and just plausible enough to be terrifying. Stick around.
Right? Like we see the life of certain beetles in comparison to the life of certain fish. Very, very different existence, very different life cycles.
Octopus.
Yeah, octopus. Yeah, I mean, we see all these different variables in terms of biological entities on Earth, but we don't see it in terms of technological innovation as we're the only one that's intelligent that can innovate. I mean, we have intelligent creatures, but they're in the ocean. The only other thing that are like us are dolphins and orcas and whales, and they don't have the ability to manipulate their environment. And subsequently, because they don't have the ability to manipulate their environment, we put them in fish tanks. And we're like, get in the tank, do some tricks.
Right.
The only thing he saw in the craft, if we were considering Bob's story, the only thing that he saw in the craft that he related to that looked like a human could make was this honeycomb hatch. And I always love that because you're like obsessed with this thing that you could recognize.
I only focus on that because it was the one thing that I understood how it worked.
What was it?
And it was the access to the level below, and it was if you take you have a 6-pack of beer and you take out the cardboard dividers, set it on the table, you can put a lot of pressure on the top. But if you push it from the sides, it collapses flat. So it was something like that in a honeycomb shape that was essentially some sort of sheet metal, and you could walk on that in the upper layer, but if you took the corner, stuck your finger in, and pushed, it collapsed and made an entryway. So I thought that was a really unique, I'd never seen that before, and it was the only thing in the craft that made absolute sense to me. I said, we can make that, and all that is a hatchway.
Was there any discussion about the materials that were used to make the craft?
I'm sure there was, but that was the metallurgy division. It had nothing to do with us.
So you never got
not even the slightest briefing. I don't even know if it was metal or it was ceramic. I think there's a fine line between the two.
What if we didn't discover this tech, but rediscovered it? Joe Rogan's mind often drifts toward ancient contact, lost civilizations that might have stumbled across alien artifacts long before the modern age. Lazar once claimed that some crafts were found not shot down, as in they've been buried, archaeological. Maybe we're not the first advanced ones.
These fighter pilots finding these objects in the sky that exhibit extraordinary capabilities and don't have all the signatures of traditional propulsion systems. What is your thoughts?
Generally, I tend to be agnostic to the topic. I have a lot of friends that are extremely interested in a lot of things that are out and about in the in the media and in the literature. But generally, I tend to be agnostic, and here's why. In everything that's currently out that people talk about and highlight, it's difficult for me to take the data and the evidence and then pull that into the work that we do in the lab with some of the different test devices we work with as we kind of explore the frontiers of where physics and propulsion might intersect. It's hard to take that and turn that into some kind of an action plan, if you will. So I'm certainly aware, like David Fravor, the experience that he had with, I think he calls them Tic Tacs, right? An amazing account. and there's multiple people that saw it, multiple platforms that saw it. And so to start with, right, I thought maybe there was a small chance that was just like we have stealth technology, right, where if you want to hide a plane, what if we had the ability to project something, right, through some mechanism where we could make people go where we wanted them to go, right? Because I know there's a technology that uses like 2 different lasers that triangulate a certain point in open air, and they put enough energy into a particular location that they ionize the air, and so it creates like a bright pixel. And so they use that to create 3-dimensional displays that kind of look like they're just floating out in air. Now, they're not quite as big as what we saw described with the Nimitz encounter on the West Coast. So I thought for a little while, maybe that might be something that we're seeing.
Like and subscribe for more videos on the BizFizz TV. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.